Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the United Capital Group H1 2024 Investors and Analysts Call. My name is Bisola F. Boran. I'm the Communications Manager at United Capital Group and the host for this session. The Investors and Analysts Call provides an opportunity for us to discuss our recently released financial performance and share our outlook for the rest of the financial year. Leading this call is our Group CEO, Mr. Peter Ashade. Joining him are the Deputy Group CEO, Mr. Sunny Anene, the Group Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Shedrack Onakpoma, and other members of the United Capital Executive Management Team. Before we delve into today's session, let's go over a few housekeeping rules. Please be aware that this call is being recorded and all participants are in listen-only mode. If you have any questions or comments, please use the question and answer box located at the bottom of your screen. All inquiries will be addressed during the Q&A segment following the presentation. I would also like to emphasize that certain statements made on this call are forward-looking, involving risk and uncertainties. These statements are based on our assumptions and projections, which may or may not materialize in the future. Therefore, it is possible for our actual performance to deviate from expectations. Neither United Capital Group nor any of its associates or employees can be held responsible for these possible deviations. Once again, thank you for participating and cooperating. That said, it is my pleasure to invite the Group CEO of United Capital Group, Mr. Peter Ashade, to deliver his opening remarks. Good afternoon, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Bisola. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. With sense of pleasure and excitement, we want to welcome you to this H1 Investors and Analysts Call, where I will, as usual, we'll be reviewing our group's performance as published for the period ended 30th June 2024, and we'll share our outlook for the rest of the year. We will equally start by, giving you a brief about our business as a group and give insight into our operating environment. And thereafter, I will hand you over to our Group Finance Officer, in person of Mr. Shedrack Onakpoma, is going to take you through the financial results in detail. And as at the period ended 30th June 2024. At this end, then we'll share our expectation for the remaining part of 2024. Thereafter, we will open the line to take your questions, as you have always been keeping it coming, and I can attest to the fact that it has been tonic to our soul. Permit me to start looking at the overview as a group, as we're a group of 7 different businesses within our portfolio. So that is housed by our investment banking business, as we prime ourselves as a Pan-Africa investment banking and financial services group, with investment banking as the flagship and own 100% in all of their businesses. We have our trust business, we have our asset management business, we have our security business, we have our consumer lending business, and we have our bank, microfinance bank, and a wealth management, as it were, in terms of our group. That speaks to our group overview. Next would be for us to look at our group structure in terms of, at a glance, what did we stand for. And this shows, when we look at it, we have A+ and A- from Data Pro and Augusto, respectively, in terms of our rating. This rating is very, very important to us, and we guide it up with all sense of responsibility, and we ensure that we scale up in terms of every year rating. Our total asset rose by 27% year to date to pin at 1.919 trillion as at 30th of June. Our fund under management crossed 1.5 trillion as at end of 30th of June, and there's been a significant growth. And you will know, for those that followed us in the last 2 years, you will see how we have carefully ramped up in terms of this, and this speaks to a lot of figures that you're going to hear today in terms of our performance for the month on that country half year that we consider. The shareholder fund appreciated 33% year to date, to end at 120.34 billion. Also, our gross earning increased by 38% year on year to 15.15 billion, while our PBT grew by 63% on year to 9.06 billion. This you will hear more when Chief Finance Officer Shedrack will be taking you through in detail how we arrive at this. Speaking to our journey as a group, I've always told this speaks to that. And let me say at this point in time that yes, the presentation will be available for your review even after this session. So you could even ask some question thereafter. So we'll provide this in order not to belabor us. This shows our journey. So far, we just try to pick within a very short while within a years of business operation on soil of Nigeria. Next, we'll talk about our core value that has driven us, our core value, enterprise, excellence, and execution. I must tell you that this has, to a very, very, very great extent, affected the way we think, the way we act, the way we do things, and the way we say things in actual fact. And most of what we'll be telling you today is predicated on the interplay of these three key core values, as it were. Next, we speak on our exceptional management team. Now we have my very self, Peter Ashade, as the group CEO. We have Sonny Anene as the Deputy Group Chief Executive Officer, and our very own Ayo Adigun also as the Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer. You can see, if you have followed through the growth of United Capital in the last 5 years, you have seen that as the size of the organization keep growing, we keep restructuring the outlook, even from the management level. 2 years ago, we never had any chief operating officer, but the size of our business now, we're talking about over 1 trillion, presupposes that we need to position ourselves to see the growth that we see ahead. So you see that in our structure. Now we have a very strong risk backing up all that. And that speaks to the way we look at that. Again, we look at collective of over 200 years management experience that is brought to bear. And this, again, sounds as part of the foundation for the numbers that you're going to see today. Next slide. So this again speaks to all our team, management team, and that drive the activity at the center of excellence at the United Capital Group. So now we'll look at the milestone in terms of our various businesses across. We start from our flagship, which is our investment banking business. I must say the first half of the year has been very, very eventful and impactful in terms of outlook. In terms of outlook, it's been very impactful. You can see we got involved. Hardly we had major transaction across Nigeria today that United Capital never participated. We just had to pick few of these. We joined our ranger to Dangote Sugar, bigger transaction, medium level transaction, and lower transaction. You've always seen our investment banking participating in that. In fact, now we're focusing on SMEs, and we're doing a lot along that line and playing our role to ensure we're able to partner with them to deliver that. We're clearly focused in terms of our outlook, and we want to be across line in terms of our participation, and top three in terms of outlook as far as the investment banking business is concerned in Nigerian landscape. Next, talk about our asset management. These are investment banking, still speaks to some of the major transactions. So now we talk about our asset management team. Again, in line with our poise to continue to delight our teaming clients with new products. These are part of what we have always highlighted during our presentation. And here we have successfully secured an approval again to launch another. We just launched our product, United Capital Stable Income Fund. This will make it the ninth product of our collective investment scheme from our asset management business. This for us, that's a growth, as it were, that. Again, as at Q1 this year, we're number 3, largest mutual fund manager in Nigeria. We are happy and excited to inform you that we are now number 2 largest mutual fund provider as at 30th June 2024. That means we are moving ahead. Recall, some couple of 4 years ago, we are number 13. So you can see the way we have grown in terms of progress recorded in our asset management business, even along all our business line. We've grown assets under management by 38% to peanut 900 billion as at 30th of June. Again, this is underscores what you will see when a number is being well funneled during this course. We have achieved 419 billion in terms of our mutual fund asset alone. 400 out of the 900 billion that you say. For mutual fund alone, we have 419 billion, and that representing a 14% share of the market as number 2 largest fund manager in Nigeria, managing 14% of the market. This is quite very instructive, and this growth, I must say, is quite commendable. Next, we'll be going to our trust business. Again, we are growing leaps and bounds across all our businesses. It's a success story all the line. We remain the leading trust business, the oldest, by the way, will be 60 this year, the oldest trust company in Nigeria, the first for that matter, and with a lot of trust mandate credited to us. Even you're going to see, I said, we've grown our assets under management by 31% to peanut 152 billion as at the H1 being considered. We've recorded a 37% year-to-date growth in our private trust portfolio for that period. You can see, even despite the headwinds we see in the country, we still do have the secure remarkable transaction mandate. Cross, you can see the mandate, just H1 as a trust company that we secure. We are quite very happy and humbled by this growth that you see there. Next, our security business. Our security business, again, another success story. We rank 4th in terms of market value, trending at 148.33 billion. That is the worth of the shares that accounted for 5.673% of the total market value in H1. That, so in terms of, I recall some couple of years ago, we are like number 30 in this market. Now we're ranking at number 4 in terms of value. And again, we serve as the stockbroking key broker to the celebrated Transcorp Power listing on the Nigeria exchange, which is again a plus for us. We have established a very strong partnership with NGX on financial inclusion. So we are partner on this journey, and I must tell you, it's been yielding a very strong and positive result in terms of outlook. Next, our business, we talk about our wealth management business. In this aspect of our business, we've grown our AUM by 152% year to date. Just for 6 months, we grew by 152% to pin at 329 billion. You can see what is happening in United Capital Group. It is truly a group to identify a partner with. And we achieved 133 year-on-year growth in revenue and 55% growth in our PBT year-on-year. So you can see what is happening when I told you the crop and the pedigree of the management and the leaders and the team in United Capital and see what is happening. However, we are not unmindful. We are not unmindful of what is happening in the ecosystem, but we are positioning ourselves to continue to extract value. So, but in terms of award, we have award. We're globally recognized among the fastest growing, back to back. It's been 3 years now, 2022, 2023, and now another one in 2024. We've sustained as the fastest growing. So by the financial, prestigious Financial Times London, you know what that means. It's a very good one for us. Also, we emerge as the other awards that we have there. Quickly, because over time, let me go to our operating environment. Our operating environment is totally great for players in this market, and you follow through that the market has been quite volatile and also even more difficult to predict these days. And it is not as synonymous to Nigeria, it's across the globe. However, the World Bank predicts that the global GDP will stabilize at 2.6 by the end of 2024, despite the geopolitical tension that we see, high interest rates, that is, you see all around. But in H1, we witness a moderation in the level of expected decline as of the global interest rates and lingering inflation pressure in key economies. We see that in the year the month that we just ended. As a result of that, we envisage global growth to reach slightly, faster this year than previously predicted, as we see. But in terms of when you look at in terms of the operating environment where we deliver this number at the domestic level, you see the Nigerian economy grew 2.98% on year in Q1 and down from Q2 from 3.46% that we had in Q4 2023. This is showcasing an impact of low oil production. Oil production remained at the lowest level through the H1, and which everyone could see. And again, growing from 3.8% from 1.25 in December to 1.3 by June. In H1, we witnessed a deceleration in the non-oil, primarily due to rising inflation, volatile exchange rate, and the interest rate. In H2 going forward, we envisage that Nigeria economy will recover modestly. Growth is projected at 3.3% for 2024, as the oil sector is expected to record its first full year growth since 2019, as it were, because we know that most of the government policy is definitely going to ramp up. Next slide. In terms of capital market performance, Nigerian equity market ranked first in Africa stock market with a 35.17% increase in H1 relative to what we had in Q4 2023. Whereas the Nigeria NGX capitalization increased by 38.33% in H1 to 56.60 trillion compared to the Q4 40 trillion that were driven by new listing, mergers, acquisition, and a positive sentiment around the price. And in terms of outlook for our market, for Q3, we see sentiment is expected majorly to tilt towards institutional that are engaged in corporate action. As you know, a lot of banks are coming up for the capitalization, for capital raising, both right, public offer, and the likes that is coming. So definitely we're going to see a lot of activities. Again, there's likely high likelihood of a lot of interim dividend, as you've seen it coming from our own end too, and going to see from most financial institutions for that, and this will result in another positive. It is of worthy note, and quite excited to celebrate first of its kind as a group with the declaration of our interim dividend of 90 kobo, and a bonus share of 2 for everyone. 2 for everyone. Maybe I say it again, 2 for everyone. And in the same financial year, I think this will have addressed the yearning of a lot of people on this call in the previous times that we asking, are you not going to pay interim? When are you looking at bonus? I think they will be delighted to hear this great news. At this point in time, I would like to yield the floor to Group CFO, Shedrack Onakuma, to take us through the financial position ended the H1 30th June 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Ashade. I will now take us through the review of the group's performance for the period ended 30th June 2024. Let me start with a quick highlight of our performance. Gross earnings closed at 15.15 billion in H1 2024, compared to 11.01 billion recorded in H1 2023, representing 38% growth year-on-year. PBT, profit before tax, grew by 63% from 5.54 billion in H1 2023 to 9.06 billion in H1 2024, while profit after tax saw a significant growth of 65% year-on-year to close at 7.74 billion in H1 2024. For the very first time as a group, we crossed the 1 trillion naira mark in total assets. As at 30th June 2024, our total assets closed at 1.19 trillion naira, compared to 931.95 billion as at 31st December 2023, representing 27% growth year to date. Total liability also crossed the 1 trillion mark from 841.23 billion as at 31st December 2023 to 1.07 trillion as at 30th June 2024, representing 27% growth year to date. We saw a significant growth in our shareholders' fund, growing 33% year to date from 90.71 billion to 120.34 billion. I will now take us through a further review of the income statement. Gross earnings, as earlier mentioned, grew by 38% year-on-year, majorly driven by the growth we saw in fee and commission income, which went up 72% year-on-year. Net trading income went up 103% year-on-year, and then other income grew 75% year-on-year. Total expenses grew by 16% year-on-year to close at 6.67 billion in H1 2024, compared to 5.75 billion we closed H1 2023. This is majorly attributable to a 54% growth in operating expenses. Again, this is due to rising cost of doing business. As we are aware, inflation was at a record high of about 34.19% as at June. And we also saw devaluation of the naira during the same period by over 40%. Our personnel expenses went up 69%. Again, this speaks to how the group, view their greatest asset, which is our workforce. So in order to adequately remunerate the workforce to withstand the inflationary surge and for the workforce to remain productive, we did some salary review during the period, and that accounted for the 69% growth in personnel expenses. Impairment, however, reduced by 138% year-on-year, as the group recorded a write-back of about 451 million in H1 2024 against an impairment charge of 1.19 billion in H1 2023. All the above performance indicators drove a 63% year-on-year increase in profit before tax, which closed at 9.06 billion in H1 2024 compared to 5.54 billion in H1 2023, while profit after tax rose 65%, as earlier mentioned. I'll just quickly take us through a breakdown of the gross earnings just to give us further insight into the major drivers of our revenue. As earlier mentioned, fee and commission income rose by 72% year-on-year to close at 6.31 billion in H1 2024 compared to 3.67 billion we closed with in H1 2023. And fee and commission income accounted for 42% of the group's gross earnings in H1 2024. In H1 2023, it accounted for 33%. Investment income, though, declined by 5% year-on-year from 4.96 billion in H1 2023 to 4.69 billion in H1 2024, contributed 31% to the gross earnings of the group, compared to 45% contribution it delivered in H1 2023. Net trading income grew by 183% year-on-year from 0.62 billion in H1 2023 to 1.76 billion in H1 2024, accounting for 13% of the gross earnings of the group. Other income went up 75% during the period under review to close at 1.98 billion from 1.13 billion in H1 2023 and contributed 3% to the group's gross earnings during the period under review. Let me quickly discuss balance sheet position. As earlier mentioned, we eventually crossed the 1 trillion naira mark as at June 2024. And this is majorly driven by the 240% growth in cash and cash equivalent during the period under review. Total liability grew by 27% to close at 1.07 billion, majorly driven by the 31% growth that we recorded in our managed funds. And just to give us some perspective, managed fund is the main driver of our business as a group. And managed fund grew significantly during the period under review. We have consistently continued to drive this number upward. Shareholders' fund went up. Again, this was due to some of our investments that we carried at fair value through other comprehensive income, which saw significant growth. And again, speaking to what Peter alluded to earlier in his presentation, the Nigerian equity market has done exceptionally well during the period under review, and we have been able to capitalize on that to also grow our shareholders' fund. We had strategic investments in some key shares in the stock exchange that has driven this level of performance that we have recorded. And just to quickly give further insight into the balance sheet, cash and cash equivalent grew by 240% year to date and accounted for 42% of our total assets as at June 2024. While investment securities, though declined by 15%, contributed 50% to our total assets during the period under review. Trade and other receivable rose by 9% year to date and contributed 8% to the total asset. Other assets within the portfolio make up just 1% of our total balance sheet. It will interest us to note that 99% of our total assets are in income-generating assets. And we take pride in this because we constantly want to position the group to continue to sweat our assets to generate revenue. On the liability side, managed funds rose by 31%, as earlier mentioned, and contributed 74% of our total liability in June 2024, compared to 71% as at December 2023. Borrowed fund declined by 10% year to date, accounting for 17% of our total liability. Other liabilities grew by 212% year to date, but contributed 8% to our total liability. The critical point to note is that we have consistently grew our mutual funds, which is the major driver of our revenue, and we will continue to drive this. As I wrap up, I just want to quickly touch on the key ratios during the period. Earnings per share increased 65% from 156 kobo in June 2023 to 258 kobo in June 2024. Return on asset grew 0.14 percentage points year on year from 1.16% in June 2023 to 1.31% in June 2024. Our price to earnings rose by 2% year on year from 10.08 in June 2023 to 10.28 in June 2024. Net asset per share grew 148% year on year from 8.09 in June 2023 to 20.06 in June 2024. Cost to income ratio declined by 8.15 percentage points to 44.01% in June 2024 from 52.16% in June 2023. While the profit after tax margin increased 8.50 percentage points to 51.08% in June 2024 compared to 42.57% in June 2023. As a reward for staying loyal to the group, I think Peter has alluded to the fact that the group has decided, on the back of the impressive performance recorded in H1 2024, to pay a dividend of 90 kobo per share, and also to give shareholders a bonus shares of 2 for 1. Let me at this point yield the floor to the Deputy GCO to talk us through our outlook. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Shedra, for the financial review. So at this time, I will take you through our plan for the next half year, the H1, 2024. So as a group, we will continue to focus on exceeding the expectations of our clients and that of other stakeholders, which of course include our shareholders. At the start of this year, we set up set some initiatives for every business in our group. I'm excited to say that those initiatives are set to yield results as evidenced in our H1 results. Our half-year results shows strong performance across all key financial metrics, like you have seen from what Shedra presented. In line with our strategy for this year, we're going to expand our geographical footprint in Nigeria and across Africa. Going into second year, into half of this year, our focus will be on the following key pillars. One, we'll grow our earnings. Every business in our group will do well and then grow their earnings, and that will be done through diligent execution of our well-thought-out plans. Risk management would heighten our risk management in all the businesses that we run. This has become very important because of the environment we find ourselves. And heightening our risk management will enable us to keep navigating the evolving market dynamics and regulatory environment. Digital transformation, we're going to invest more in our digital platforms and channels to improve the experience of all our universe of clients. Improved customer experience. We will keep exciting our clients with seamless and personalized services designed to exceed their expectations, drive long-term satisfaction, and cultivate loyalty. For employees, we will keep creating a great place to work for them. Our employees well remunerated, they will have safe environment to work where they will thrive and deliver on our agreed key performance indices. In summary, key initiatives that will enable us to deliver more value to our stakeholders in H2 are as follows. One, we increase our profits in all our businesses through partnership and cost-effective business models. We deliver best returns in our investments and grow the funds under management. In our business, size is important. The bigger the FUM, that fund under management, the bigger the revenue. So we're taking a lot of attention, pay attention to the growth of our fund under management. We explore international ratings and retain our local corporate rating. Good risk rating enable us to win more businesses and mandates with less efforts. We will drive operational efficiency through technology in the execution of our business operations. We will provide excellent services and deploy best-in-class customer experience across all our touch points. We focus on innovative product development in line with customer and global trend. We will leveraging on robust risk management framework to drive our core business operations. Lastly, we will solidify our position as a leading Pan-African financial institution by deepening our footprints across Nigeria and Africa. At this time, we would like to take questions and feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sonny Anene, for that presentation. Thank you, Mr. Shedra Konakpoma and Mr. Peter Shedi for your presentations as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with us. It's time for questions and answers segment. I'll begin to share the questions we have received in the Q&A box. If you are yet to send your questions, your comments, your feedback, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. Now I'll take the first question. The first question we have is from Adekunle Ogbonaye. And he says, permit me to congratulate your company for the continuous improved performance in business. I am so happy to be an investor. I wish to ask the below questions. 1, I want my dividend payment to be converted to bonus shares. 2, educate me on the company's proposed bonus shares of 2 new share issuance for every 1 share held by existing shareholders. Do I have to pay for the proposed shares? And if so, when is the deadline? And how much am I expected to pay? I currently have, I won't mention the number of units of shares with United Capital. Please advise. Thank you as I eagerly await your feedback. Okay, so I'm going to send this question over to the group CFO, Mr. Shedrack Nakoma, to respond. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Bisola, and thank you for the question, Mr. Adekunle. Let me take those questions one after the other. So the first question is, a request is, I want my dividend payment to be converted to bonus shares. We would have loved to do that, but unfortunately, that is not how it works. Dividend payment will be paid in cash, while your bonus shares will be given to you in form of shares. However, you can meet with our stock brokerage business. The CEO of United Capital Securities is on the call. Mr. Bao is Orishejafor. We'll reach out to you. You can only use that dividend. Once the dividend is paid, you can use it to buy more shares. That would be my response to your first request. Then the second one, you want to understand how the bonus shares work. The bonus shares, you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay anything for the bonus shares. As long as you are an existing shareholder in United Capital PLC, you will be allocated additional 2 units for every 1 unit of share you currently hold. In United Capital PLC. So that is how it works. You don't need to pay. I hope that addresses your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shedrack, for that. We have another question from Eric Akinduro, and it goes, I want to commend the board for proactiveness in creating value for our investments. Now that interim dividends is declared, can we see it as a policy of the company to join interim dividends paying companies? I think the group CEO is best to answer this question. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akinduro. Thank you, because you've always been very strong support all the years as one of the key shareholder front. So be rest assured that in terms of dividend outlook for United Capital, we have been consistent. By the way, we have been very, very, very consistent. And you see, we have a dividend policy. And when you look at our dividend policy, one thing that is key in our dividend policy, we have average, we're paying nothing less than 75% of our earnings as dividend. You can rate the records that speaks to this. In fact, the particular year we pay almost 95% or so a dividend. We have been consistent. So whether dividend is a yearly thing or something, but for us, it's about the overlook and what we pay, and we will continue to delight and increase the wealth of our various shareholders. We have always been saying that, and I think we have kept our promise, and we want to be, our word want to be our bond, that we will continue to keep our promise to continue to give very, good dividend to our various shareholder. Whether it's not going to be an interim final going forward or all that, that is subject to a lot of factors that we cannot be untying here. But one thing I want to reassure you, we have the interest of the shareholders, as we have always been having, at the back of our mind in a major decision that will affect the increase in the wealth of our shareholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Shade. We have another question from Edosa Omoregi, and Edosa wants to know, will today's presentation be shared? Oh yes, Edosa, the presentation will be shared after the session is over, so you can check your email for that. We have another question. This is from Eric Akinduro again. This company has a listening board, particularly in yearning for bonus and interim dividends. Kudos to them. Thank you. Just asking, how deep is the company's exposure to oil and gas sector? Interesting question from Eric Akinduro. Mr. Sherekonakuma, would you like to take this?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Eric Akinduro, for that question. How deep is the group exposed to oil and gas? I would say that we are not that significantly exposed. We have some exposure, but not that significant. We saw opportunity some years back in the oil and gas sector, which we leverage on. And we think that that investment over time has paid its worth. If not for the recent development in the oil and gas sector, where we have oil theft and all of that. But we are closely monitoring the exposure to the oil and gas sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shedrack, for that. Another question from Israel Thomas. And Israel wants to know, can you elaborate on your USD mutual funds? I just went to your website and can't see any USD fund form. Okay, I would send this over to Odiri Ogini, the MD of our asset management business. Odiri, would you like to take this?
All right, thank you very much, Bisola, and thank you, Israel, for that question. Good afternoon, everyone. So Israel, we have two USD mutual funds. The first is the United Capital Eurobond Fund, where you can invest with as little as $100. And then the second one is the United Capital Global Fixed Income Fund, where you can invest with as little as $50,000. It's surprising that the form is not on our website. However, you can download our investment app on Google and the Play Store and search for Invest Now. So once you download the app, you can have access to those $2 funds I've mentioned earlier. Also, you can also send us an email on assetmanagement@unitedcapitalplcgroup.com, and then we can take your requests or inquiries from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Odiri. Thank you for that. We have a question from Maxwell Kadiri. And it's also similar to the next question, so I'll take them together. Maxwell wants to know, how do you intend managing the impact of the 2-for-1 bonus shares on the company's earnings at the end of the financial year, vis-a-vis what would be paid as final dividend by your company? Another anonymous attendee wants to know, good afternoon, United Capital Group. Thank you. I would like to know what is responsible for the growth in your shareholders' funds, and how do you intend to sustain this going forward? So I'll hand these questions over to the Group CEO, Peter Shade.
Thank you so much, Maxwell and the anonymous. For us, one thing that this very big statement that we are making in paying this, in declaration of the issued bonus, is that we are confident of our short and long-term strategy. We are quite confident about it. For those of us that will have followed us in the last 3 years, consistently, when we say it, we do it. We'll come to analyst call and say, we're looking forward to this, and we have always come here to celebrate the achievement. So that is not in any way threatened as far as that is concerned. Yes, we acknowledge that, given the bonus, we increase our total outstanding shares by 2, so making 3 now, from 6 to 18. Yes, but I can assure you it will not affect in any way our dividend payment. We have a dividend payment policy that we hope to. We will not be. We are sure of the fact that we continue to create value for our shareholder long and short is it will not affect it because we are confident of our short, medium, and long-term strategy and focus as a group. So in terms of our, yes, what is responsible for our shareholder, you see, if you look at it till date, in the last 3 years, our shareholders fund has grown by 290%. For your information, if you are not, you can, figures are there for you to our shareholders fund grew by 200. And you see, this is out of a deliberate action to look at the total balance sheet analysis and see how again can we create, additional value both now and into the future for our various shareholders. So we took some investment decision that we can tell you even into the foreseeable future will remain green in terms of outlook. And we see that this year alone, we've grown, our shareholder fund grown by 33%. That is H1, grew by 33%. And we're expecting, H2 to go in the same direction. So we were careful about those decisions, and it's got, come up positively in terms of outlook. And we can assure you that sustaining it is part of the consideration at the point in time those decisions were taken, and we're going to ensure in the foreseeable future that we continue to sustain it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Shade. Very well answered. We have a question from Olakunle Falola. Well done for the excellent results. I purchased some units of United Capital fleet shares as of 23rd of July, but as of yesterday, it is not reflecting on the registrar. How can this be resolved as I need to benefit from the bonus? Okay, Olakunle, you can actually reach out to us. Reach out to the customer service team, customer service at unitedcapitalplcgroup.com, and one of our able and ready customer service assistants would respond to you and help you out. Another question from an anonymous attendee. Does the bonus shares increase my percentage ownership of United Capital PLC? I'll hand this question over to the group CFO, Mr. Shedrack Olakoman.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. The answer clearly is no, because as you are getting the bonus, all other shareholders, existing shareholders, are also getting the bonus. So it does not increase the percentage of your holding in the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shedrack. Another question for you, Mr. Shedrack, from Kalista Azogu. Congratulations to the team for the impressive performance. Please reconcile the increase in gross earnings of 38% with the increase in PBT of 63%. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for that question. And I can understand why that question is coming up. Okay, so the simple answer to that is coming from the impairment. So if you look at the impairment in H1 2023, we took a charge of over 1 billion naira, right? But Q1 2024, we had a write back. When Peter was presenting, he talked about, we revamped our risk management framework, and part of what we are doing is reassessing our investment portfolio in order to reduce or mitigate the impact of impairment on our performance going forward. And so in H1 2024, we saw a write back of over 400 million. And so that write back improved our PBT. And that is why the PBT went up 63% compared to the 38% growth in gross earnings. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shedrack, for that. We have another, this is a comment. We have a comment from Owolabi Olushola. I don't have any questions, but to commend the management for their wonderful job over a few years. Over the few years I have known this entity, I couldn't believe the share price at 3 naira is now over 30 naira. This is, in fact, a wonderful job. Thank you. Well, thank you, Owolabi Olushola, for that. We have another question from Cynthia, and Cynthia wants to know, how can I be a shareholder in United Capital? Well, to be a shareholder of United Capital, you simply need to purchase stocks of United Capital Group. So you can reach out to us via securities@unitedcapitalplcgroup.com. Alternatively, you can actually go to investnow.ng, open a stock trading account, and then begin to trade and purchase any shares you want, particularly United Capitals, on our InvestNow platform. And just like that, you become a shareholder of United Capital. We have a question from Humphrey Irabo. How can those of us in the diaspora take advantage of the various recapitalization ongoing in the banking sector, especially the rights issues? We do not have access to the rights issues document by virtue of our location, and also how to make such payments. I would hand this question over to our MD, or the MD of our investment banking business, Ms. Dr. Gbadebo Aderile. Over to you, sir.
Sorry, Bisola, can you just take that again?
Not a problem, sir. Humphrey Rubber wants to know, how can those of us in the diaspora take advantage of the various recapitalizations going on in the banking sector, especially the rights issues? We do not have access to the rights issues documents by virtue of our location, and also how do we make such payments?
Okay, so for the rights issues, our securities trading business would generally be the right platform for that. On the investment banking side, we generally will help the companies that we are engaged on, but generally the securities trading business will be the platform that would help you to ensure that you can subscribe to those different banks' capital raises, and you can actually access them through our investor relations team. I think Bisola, you can provide contact details, or we can get contact details of this investor, and then we can facilitate the subscription from the investors to the different capital raising by the different banks. And for those that we are advising on, it's easy. For the 4 or 5 that we're currently advising on, and the more that will come. But for others that will come on, the United Capital Securities can be the platform through which they would get their subscriptions passed on to different banks. So I hope that clarifies.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gbadebo. I would ask the next question. We have one from Maxwell Kadiri again. I believe this question is for Ejikeme Okoli, the director of our African region. Maxwell wants to know, in terms of expansion policies, what countries within and outside the sub-region are you looking at? I see that your competitors, names withheld, have opened up subsidiaries in Ghana to begin with. Over to you, Ejikeme Okoli.
Thank you, Bisola, and thank you, Maxwell. When you say sub-region, I want to assume you mean the Nigerian sub-region. So countries that we are currently looking at, we're actually looking at the entire continent, but the models are different. We have models where we work with partners to gain inroads into those countries without setting up full business operations. But in all, we are present in Ghana, like you mentioned, other competitors. We're also present in Côte d'Ivoire, through which we serve the broader West African region. And then for the rest of Africa, we have a briefcase model where we are engaged with different partners who mandate us to provide capital raising, investment management, and other investment services, that are permitted in those markets. So that contributes to the value proposition that we have, while we'll still keep our eyes on key markets that will be ripe for full expansion. And there'll be a lot more information regarding our Africa expansion plans in subsequent investor relations and other engagements with investors and shareholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Ejikeme. Very well answered. This is a question from Briskila Sakwe. Do you accept cash for the dollar mutual fund investment? Okay, so I'll quickly take this. Or would you like to take this? You can see that your mic is on.
All right, thank you very much, Bisola, and thank you, Briskila, for that question. So we currently do not accept cash for our dollar mutual fund, and this is in line with the regulatory requirement. However, if you can send us your detail, we can get in touch with you and walk you through how you can invest in the dollar mutual fund. You can send us an email on assetmanagement@unitedcapitalplcgroup.com, and then we can get in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Odiri. And this is the final question. We have a lot of questions, but because of the time, we don't want to take all of them. We would answer them after the presentation. So I'm throwing these questions to the group CEO, Mr. Peter Ashade. An anonymous attendee wants to know, good afternoon, United Capital. Wouldn't the bonus shares dilute existing shareholders' holdings? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anonymous. There is no form of dilution there because one is still being given to the existing shareholders and the same ratio across board. So if you're having 1% before, after the bonus, you'll still be having 1%. So that's it. So there is no dilution there. You could be considering dilution if we are, either having a public offer that new shareholder will come into the play and all that, or we're giving different. But the long and short is that there is no dilution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, everyone who has participated in this session, from our various speakers and to all the executive management on this call. Thank you for participating. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, like I said earlier, we were unable to treat all the questions. However, you can forward your questions to investorrelations@unitedcapitalplcgroup.com. That's investorrelations@unitedcapitalplcgroup.com. And one of our trusted advisors will respond accordingly. You can also visit the investor relations section of our website for more information. So now I'm going to hand it over to the group CEO, Mr. Peter Ashade, to give the closing remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Bisola. Sincerely, every quarter that we come up here is always a new story, success story down the line. And it's always quite exciting as we keep questions coming. I must tell attendees that these questions are tonic to our soul. It really drives our thought process, drives our decisions, drives our actions. So when it comes next quarter and you see an improvement is in the light of the direction, that, some of the old questions that keeps coming. You want to play with you to keep it coming. And not only during this session, even after this session, you can always visit our investor relation on our website to keep this question coming. We are here to continue. We are already creating value, but what we want to do next is to continue to increase it value. And just like I said when I was on our rise yesterday, that if you do not have United Capital in your portfolio, you have to reconsider that portfolio, because it is an investment of the lifetime, as it were. Once again, I want to thank everyone for your time and question today. The feedback was sincerely appreciated. Thank you. I would like to appreciate our shareholders for their continued support. We also thank the board. I really, really appreciate the board members. So most of what you see here today and what you have seen in the past speaks to our erudite board members that are giving very strong support. The management of the group and all the my team member for the strategic guidance that we get from the board and management, and also use this opportunity to appreciate most sincerely our team, a strong, highly driven and motivated team. I appreciate you all. I'm very proud of all of you for your loyalty, continuous dedication and support, commitment at all times, and that is bringing out this highly celebrated performance. I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you so much for being part of this conference call. Should you have any further inquiries, please do not hesitate to contact us through our investor relations. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir. Very well said. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on this call. You can now disconnect your lines.